Good afternoon, I'm Rob Boskamp, and you're listening to South Texas Midday. It's Thursday, July 31st. Later in our newscast, we'll have our full interview with at-large Councilmember Mark Scott about the pause of funding for the proposed desalination project, but first, some updates from across the region. The Old Harbor Bridge is to be completely decommissioned by mid-next month. Officials with Flatiron Dragados said that engineering design and staging plans are underway to begin lowering the main span over the ship channel this fall. All ramp connectivity to and from the Old Harbor Bridge will be removed as well.
So right now we have the Old Bridge open for northbound connectivity to North Beach, along with the pedestrian path. There's a lot of interest in when that's going to close. We're going to have about a month of activity with staging equipment. A lot of groundwork is underway for stabilizing the ground beneath all the heavy equipment here behind me at the port area, and also beneath the approach for the Old Bridge on North Beach as well.
That was Lynn Allison, spokesperson for Flatiron Dragados, speaking with KEDT News. The New Harbor Bridge recently opened earlier this month. Victoria's Citizen Medical Center is expanding, prompting questions about how the project is being funded. Hospital officials have asked county commissioners to issue $10 million in certificates of obligation to pay for the final phase of the ICU expansion and to replace some aging elevators. Victoria County Judge Ben Zeller said the county's strong financial track record allows projects like this to move forward. He added that the total project cost, including equipment, is $21 million. He attributes the ability to using some cash reserves that the hospital has, as well as being able to access long-term, low-interest rate financing utilizing the county's AA+ credit rating. The ICU expansion at Citizens Medical Center is expected to open in January. During a presentation before the County Commissioners Court on Tuesday, Cameron County Administrator Pete Sepulveda Jr. said international bridge traffic is down in the Rio Grande Valley and between the valley and El Paso. The county's bridges in Brownsville, however, fared better than some. Compared to the third quarter of last year, the third quarter of fiscal year 2025, according to unaudited numbers, Gateway International Bridge in Brownsville actually saw a 3% increase in private passenger vehicles, though he said, quote, all other classifications remained flat, unquote. Speaking with the Brownsville Herald after the commissioners' meeting, Sepulveda attributed the big increase at Los Indios to new commercial traffic that formerly crossed at the far Reynosa International Bridge. He said the decrease in commercial and passenger traffic at other bridges is due to several factors, such as immigration issues and rumors of tariffs. The Corpus Christi City Council this week voted to pause funding for the proposed desalination project for the next 30 days. After a marathon council session this past Tuesday, at-large Councilmember Mark Scott expressed his frustration over the vote and the holdup. Lon Gonzalez had the opportunity to chat with Councilman Scott over the issue and the holdup. Here is that full interview.
In the studio with us today is Corpus Christi City Councilman Mark Scott. And Mark, coming off literally off a late night
15 hours.
session.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of time and a lot of work.
What's interesting about that is that's nonstop. So when we break for lunch, we don't really break. We go in the back room, grab lunch, sit at the table, and do our closed session items. And then in the evening there is literally no break. They brought us chicken salad and crackers, last night. So it's 15 hours of nonstop, which is probably, you're not making good public policy after 15 hours. You're just not. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. You just, you don't make good business decisions. You don't make good family decisions after, 15 consecutive hours. So, and that's the third week in a row. This is the third week of meetings in excess of 12 hours, which I don't know that anybody's ever done that.
It's a rarity.
Unusual.
It is a rarity. Well, let's talk about what did happen with that meeting. Right now, the desalination funding, council voted to postpone at this point in time. Full funding approved.
Yeah. So no, worse than that. I think it might end up being the most cataclysmic decision that any council has made in decades. We did a stop order. So we said we want to table any decision for 30 days. The problem with that is people are working, hundreds of people were working on the design of the Inner Harbor desalination plant. And so they're issuing a stop order today. Whatever you were doing, Kiewit, put your pencils down. Now here's what Kiewit's going to do. They're paying their employees. They're not going to pay them to sit around. So they're going to reassign them. So if indeed we come back after 30 days, how long is it going to take to to get those employees back or get new and trained. I mean, it's and the other part, which is fascinating to me, I mean, I've known it for months. I've had meetings with people for months and said, by the way, the money we borrowed can only be spent for Inner Harbor. It's in the loan documents. You know, you borrow money to go buy a house. It's for that house. It's in the loan document. And what we're saying now is, well, let's take that money and go spend it somewhere else. That makes no sense. It makes no sense in anyone that's ever borrowed money or bought a house. It makes no sense. So what that means is to date, we will have spent $112 million. And if we don't proceed, we take that money, put it in the pile, put gasoline on it, and burned it. There is nothing that we get out of this. Zero. And worse yet, we can't amortize that payback, that debt across the whole system. You know, we sell water up to Rockport and Beeville and then down to Kingsville. Those people aren't going to repay it. You and I, Corpus Christians, will be solely responsible for that $112 million of indebtedness for nothing. There is nothing to show for it. Now, what that was we're borrowing money to design an Inner Harbor desalination plant. If you get to the 60% design, you at least have an asset. That asset is the design. Now, you can do three things with that. You can continue with the company that designed it, which is the right answer because they're intimately involved in design. You can say, no, we're not going to use you. You can bid it out, see if you get a better deal, or you can shelve it. But even if you shelve it, you have a fully designed desalination project. So you have an asset. To terminate the project at 10% means you threw away $112 million for nothing. It is bizarre to me that we have put ourselves in this situation. It makes no sense to me, and I'm very sad that we made that decision.
Do you see a scenario down the line in case this pause continues, that the current desalination project doesn't go forward? Is there a situation that would just totally stop it?
I see no avenue for the current Inner Harbor desalination project to move forward if we terminate it. I just don't know how you would do it. I guess you would go back to Kiewit because they've got the design folks, but they've moved on. And even if they do, I mean, they told you could do it for $10 and you terminated them at $2. If you go back to them and say, hey, if I pay you the rest of the $8, that's not happening. They have no faith in our system. They signed a contract with the city of Corpus Christi to get to what they call GMP. It's the hard bid number, guaranteed maximum price. They signed a contract, and we're basically terminating it, I don't know, halfway through. So no one's going to come to work for us. And even worse, now keep in mind the state of Texas helped us borrow that money. The state of Texas took whatever the interest rates are, 6%. They sold our bonds for us for 3%. They're involved in this project. Do you think when we go back to them and say, hey, yeah, we know you loaned us $220 million, but golly, we're going to do something else, are they going to have any faith in the decision-making of the city council? No. And even if they do, there's a risk involved now because we've established that risk, which is that we are willing to terminate a project, halfway or some point through. So the interest rates would be different. I mean, And one of the council members, Mr. Cantu, said, well, the state's going to bail us out. They're going to help us. I would tell you, they helped us. They sold our bonds. They gave us, let's just say market rates 5%. They gave us bonds at 3%. They gave us grants to get it all started. They have been partners in this process. And we looked at our partner and said, yeah, no thank you. So who do we think we are that we can go back to our partner at some point in the future, like, hey, man, I know we didn't fulfill that obligation yesterday, but can you help us on a project today? Makes no sense to me. I'm just stunned. I'm stunned at the logic behind this delay. Now, here's what happened in the end. We have documentation. We've had it for months. It says if you walk on the deal at 10%, you're going to owe $112 million. You can't get out of the loan legally for 10 years. So you got to pay that interest for 10 years, plus we spent $40 million already. And some council members said, well, we don't believe that. Now, keep in mind, Senator Chuy Hinojosa sent us a letter. Our state senator, who is the vice chair of finance in the Senate, checked on this with the Texas Water Development Board, sent us a letter and said, hey, guys, you can't move the money. And there were council members that said, well, we're going to ask on our own. So on their own, without going through the city structure, no other council members knew about it. They have sent questions to the Texas Water Development Board. They said, hey, do you mind if we get out of this loan and move the money somewhere else? So I hope that when they get this letter from the Texas Water Development Board and it says, well, number one, we told you on verbally because Drew Molly said he talked to him. Number two, your senator told you in writing you can't move the money. My hope is that those same council members, the 5 that voted to postpone, go, oh, golly, yeah, we don't want to burn $112 million in a pile with gasoline. So let's try to go back and put the genie back in the bottle. Let's try to build this puzzle to the point we're at, and let's take it forward. That's the only hope.
Were those council members, I'm sure, did they read the print on this contract?
No, obviously not. No, and they must not have asked questions. I mean, I've been making presentations to community members since I got on, 7 months. And it's been in all of them. I mean, I've had people sit in the room and said, stop, you're telling me we can't move the money anywhere else and we'll be on the hook for $112 million? I go, yeah. They go, well, then why am I here? You have to do this. You can't walk away from $112 million with nothing to show for it. And so I don't know. I mean, I've known about it, but I don't, I go to presentations and when staff invites me, I try to get educated. And it makes sense. I mean, it just makes sense. If you bought a house, you borrowed $100, let's say $100,000, you buy $100,000 to buy a house, you can't halfway through that without a penalty say, yeah, no, I don't want this house. And can I give you your money back, bank? I mean, it just doesn't happen. It has no presence in reality. It's just stunning to me, but it's been there. Now, one council member said, I'm really upset. This is the first we've heard of it. That's not true. That's not true. Staff's been talking about this since I got on the council, and here's how they couch it. There was a competitive process, and we went through it, and the state chose us. They chose not us, that specific project. We call it the Inner Harbor desal. They chose to sponsor the Inner Harbor desal. Now, I guess people didn't realize that when it's project specific, the debt's project specific, which again makes no sense. We sell bonds. We voted for $100 million on a water project yesterday. You can't take that money on a water project and do something else with it. If you've been on the council for more than a day, you can't move that money around. Now, I guess if you borrowed $100 and ended up costing $90, you can take that $10 and use it somewhere else, but you have to use the money that you borrowed for a specific purpose. If you're the lender, you're not going to loan us money for X and let us go spend it on Y. You loaned it on X. It's in the. I mean, it's just. I'm sorry, I'm going on and on.
Oh, it's okay. No.
It's stunning
to me. It's
clearly I'm upset about it.
Yes, it's very obvious.
Yeah, right.
The Texas Water Development Board. Do you feel that they'll be a little bit more vocal the next time City Council meets and say, "Hey, what is going on?"
It's
here?
interesting because I pushed for that. I begged us to get state leadership to weigh in and go, "Hey, guys and girls, easy now. Let me tell you what you can and can't do." And what you get back from Austin is, and I don't know. We sign a document. Go read the document. I'm not going to interpret the document for you. I'm the lender, and the state of Texas is really it gets worse, by the way. If you don't spend that money in 3 years, then you're technically it's a non-taxable loan, which that's one of the reasons you get a good interest rate. Mm-hmm. But there's a requirement that you spend the money on that project within 3 years, or it could become taxable. So all those bondholders out there that bought this tax-free money are going to have to pay taxes on it. Let me tell you something. They ain't paying the taxes on it, right? So they're going to go to the state of Texas, and the state of Texas is going to go, yeah, no, we're not paying that difference. And they're going to turn to the city of Corpus Christi, and then that 3% loan now becomes whatever the market rate is,
Wow.
So it just goes on and on. But the state, I think we'll get a letter from the state that confirms what Chuy Hinojosa says, which is you can't move it. And the other thing, by the way, the governor's watching this, the senator in charge of water's watching this, the Water Development Board's watching this, the TCEQ is watching this, the federal government is watching this, our U.S. congressman's been very involved in this. The eyes of Texas are upon Corpus Christi, and it ain't good. This is not going to be a good outcome unless, the hope is by the end of the week, council members get this document in writing that says, hey, you can't move the money. And then hopefully council comes back and there'll be a gnashing of teeth, like I'm really upset. I really wanted to use the money somewhere else, but clearly we can't, so let's move forward. That's my hope.
Mark Scott, we thank you for stopping in today and appreciate the comments. I understand it can be very frustrating. One, with the vote that was taken, and second, having to do a marathon session, which could become the norm if this doesn't get put to
Hopefully
bed.
you just don't make good decisions. And side note, it's my own fault, but I'm hypoglycemic, so I got to eat a little bit all day. So, about 8 o'clock at night, you can't eat any more food. You can't drink any more caffeine. You
hit that wall.
You're just hitting the wall. So that's my own fault. I got to do better on that. But hopefully our meetings will be less than that.
All right. Well, thank you, sir.
And be sure to check out our new Community Talks podcast series. Lon Gonzalez recently spoke with Councilman Roland Barrera about this week's City Council updates. During the Victoria County Commissioner's Court earlier this week, a $1.4 million grant was secured for improvements to the Victoria Regional Airport. This funding will go towards preliminary engineering for reconstruction of Taxiway Charlie and terminal parking lot improvements. Last month, the Victoria Regional Airport announced that it would be reconstructing Taxiway Charlie in an effort to bring the decommissioned part of the runway back into compliance with Federal Aviation Administration safety and design standards. The airport will close the runway after the last flight departs on Monday and will reopen on September 5th. Meanwhile, Congressman Michael Cloud secured $5.5 million in federal funding within the Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development and Related Agencies Appropriations Act 2026 to support the construction of a new terminal at Victoria Regional Airport. The current terminal is more than 3 decades old and was not designed to accommodate the larger aircraft, stricter security standards, and increased passenger volume. The investment brings the airport one step closer to a modern 30,000 square foot terminal. Thomas Ray Garcia has announced his candidacy for the District 2 seat of the Texas State Board of Education. The announcement marks Garcia's second attempt for the seat following an unsuccessful bid in 2022. Garcia was born in McAllen and raised in Farr. He founded the College Scholarship Leadership Access Program, of which he currently serves as chairman on its board of directors. He's also the author of the book The River Runs, Stories, and co-author of the historical memoir El Curso de la Raza. District 2 of the State Board of Education is made up of 14 counties, including those of the Rio Grande Valley and along the coastal Bend region. Texas Republicans have released a proposed map to redraw the state's congressional districts. Houston Public Media's Andrew Schneider reports the move has the potential to give President Trump the 5 states he's seeking for GOP pickups in the 2026 midterms.
The proposed map would target districts held by Democratic Representatives Henry Cuellar and Vicente Gonzalez in the Rio Grande Valley and Mark Veazey and Julie Johnson in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. They also set up a potential contest between Representatives Greg Gassar and Lloyd Doggett in Central Texas. Mark Meredith is a political scientist at the University of Pennsylvania.
Based on what I'm seeing, it certainly is possible that there could be 5 more Republican members in the next Congress relative to now.
Ken Martin, chair of the Democratic National Committee, issued a statement that the DNC, quote, will be exploring all options to fight back against this blatant gerrymander. I'm Andrew Schneider in Houston.
And the first annual Corpus Christi Trail Ride takes place tomorrow and Saturday at the South Texas Race Ranch at 6701 Old Brownsville Road. The event isn't just about horses, ATVs, and music. It's about culture, unity, and Southern tradition. Organizers said the event will highlight the deep cultural and historical roots of Black cowboys who helped shape Texas ranching life, but were frequently left out of mainstream stories.
I want them to have something to be proud of, to say, hey, this is Corpus Christi's own. It's really about community. You know what I'm saying? Bringing the community together, allowing them to see just a different cultural aspect.
That was event co-host Kevin Palmer chatting with KRAS News. The event will include live music, games, food, and more than a dozen local vendors. Proceeds will support school supplies and clothing for Coastal Bend students. Tickets are $20 and can be purchased on site or through Eventbrite. The event begins at 6 p.m. tomorrow. And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.